For the second part of this instruction, I want to show you how you can actually assemble parts that you've created for your Trinket box. Okay, so we've started off by making this part, which is a flat piece of wood that's then had sections cut out of it, providing teeth that are going to interlock with other pieces. Okay, and eventually what we want to try and get to is where we put all four pieces together, and so we have a box that assembles like so. So rather than having to draw each of the pieces again, because each of the pieces are actually identical, they're just rotated round, we're going to see if we can actually create an assembly of the different parts. So you've got your first part created, which is just part one. Okay, we can rename that if we wanted to, but we'll leave it at that. And that's just remember, a sketch that's been drawn and then extruded to the right depth of 14 millimeters. Okay, right, so let's have a look at how we do an assembly. So if you notice on the bottom part there are two tabs. There's the part 1 studio, which is the one we've been working in, and then the assembly part, which is where we bring all the pieces together. Okay, and each of these parts are separate parts that have been imported in. The first one has been fixed, and that provides an anchor for everything else to hang around. So let me just undo all these parts here, and then we can we'll have a look, and I'll show you where we go to with this. So I'll just remove this one here. Let's take that one out, and we'll take that one out there. Okay, right, let's start fresh. So you've got your first part in part 1 studio. We then go to assembly. Okay, that's blank at the moment, so we need to click on the insert button here, insert. And what that will list is what parts you've created already in your part studio. So I've created part 1, which we've just been looking at. And as soon as I click on that, that inserts that part into the drawing. Now, unlike the previous example in part 1 studio, this is like a free shape that you can move around and drop where you want it. It still has an origin in the middle that we can reference to different planes, but that can just sit there quite happily. Okay, green tick that. That's my first part. Now if I click on it again, it does have some handles that I can use to move it around. So we have direction arrows. So if you look, there are 3 arrows going in different planes. So I can use this one to lift it up. I can use this one to take it that way, and I can use this one to take it that way. Okay, and there are also at the end of them rotation ones as well. So we can actually rotate the angle of it as well. So we can rotate it round if that's this way. Yeah. Okay. We can rotate it this way. Yeah. And we can rotate it that way. We handle these with care because you do have to sometimes get them back to 0. Okay. Now, before we start assembling, we need to make one part fixed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the underside of this part here, there, and then I'm going to go and right click and go to fix. And that'll fix that in place. And you'll notice now it has a fix part here. So that is locked in place. If I click on it again, I don't get any movement arrows, so that is locked in place now. Now everything else can now hang around it. So I'm going to insert a second part. And now remember, all these parts are identical for the box. So if I click on that part there, there's my second part. And we will probably want it roughly about there. Don't worry too much about the position, we'll look at that later on. Okay. We're not going to add in the other 2 parts yet. We'll just leave that for the moment. We're going to use this part and get it jointed. So at the minute, that is going to be joining onto this corner to make an L shape. But if you notice, the teeth are the wrong way around here at the moment. So what we can do, we can click on this shape and we can rotate it round through 180 degrees. So let's take it to, now we can type in this value, or we can actually just scroll it around. So there it is, that's done at 180 degrees. Okay, confirm that. So then now that should lock into that, but now if we notice we could also rotate it through 90 degrees through this plane to orientate it so it can fit. Okay. There, now, okay, can we then move this into position? We could, very gently, we could try taking this and try to position it oh, I missed it there. Maybe if we look from above, oh yeah, you can see there's a bit of a problem here. It's quite difficult to try and actually line it up correctly because you're dealing with a 3D object in 3D space, and when you think you've got it in the right place, it actually has moved out, and it's quite a tricky thing to try and line it up exactly. So this is where these tools here can help you. Okay, these are called mates. There are different types of mates. So we've got a fastened mate, a revolute, a slider, a planar, a cylindrical, a pin slot, a ball mate, parallel mate, and a tangent mate. All different mates here, and they can help us join things together. So I know that this surface here, for example, this one here, and that surface are intended to touch together once it's jointed together. So I'm going to use that to help it connect up. So I'm going to use my planar mate tool, which is this one here, planar mate. Okay. Now, mates are located on any surface, on any edge. And if you're in a planar tool, as you scroll around, you can see there are white dots that appear around the edge of the shape here. Okay, and these are all possible places where you might want to use a mate. They're logical sort of placings for it. We have squares for the midpoints and circles for the vertices or the corners. And you can also get one slap bang in the middle as well. Okay. If we zoom in and we go to this surface, I can get one slap bang in the middle of that surface there that I want to join. So I'm going to click on that part, and that places the mate on that part. So I've selected that mate connector here. So then now if I scroll around, I'm going to now look at the mate connector on this surface here, and look, there is one on the middle of that surface. So I'll click on that one. So I've now got two mates selected, and hey presto, the object moves into position in the right place there. We have solved our joint. Click on the green tick. Okay. So now it's going to be just a simple operation. And you do occasionally get a request if you want to do a second planar mate to try and lock it into place even further. We don't need to do that for the minute, so I'm just going to close that. I'm going to insert another shape. Okay, all right, there. And green tick that, zoom out so we can see it in space. So this is going to link onto here, so this edge is going to link into here. So again, click on the shape, we can drag that around to roughly where we want it. Right click to scroll around, zoom in again. Okay, so by the same thing with our mates, we know that we can make this surface and the underside of that surface there. Okay, so I'm going to use my planar mate tool again. Click on the middle of this surface. Again, you sometimes have to scroll right in so you can see it. Click on that surface. Choose the underside of this surface here. You may need to just scroll it around so you can see it. There, and that will move into place for me. Okay, move this around. There. Now, it should be a simple operation now of inserting my last piece part there. And what do we need to do to this first? Well, it's not going to lock in because if you look at the teeth, it's identical to these two on the other side here, so we need to do some movement with this. So I'm going to rotate this one round first of all through 180 degrees. There we are. Okay. And then we'll also rotate it through, let's see, which one is it? It's going to be this one here. Rotate that around through 90 degrees to get it to be there. Okay. And again, you can type in a value if you wanted to here as well. Okay, click to save that, and we'll position this better. So we use this arrow just to move this back. So let's see where it's going to go. So now I'm going to mate this surface here, this square here, with the underside of this one here. So again, planar mate. Scroll in, may need to find it. There we go, there. And the underside of this one here. There we go. Click on that. Close close that one off because we don't need that. And there we have our box all jointed together, looking very neat, ready to be used. Okay, right. I look forward to seeing your finished products.